good afternoon, good evening, and yeah, wherever you might be watching from, this is a great moment to know that you actually watching, and you're welcome. You're welcome. Um, take your seats and let's get started. It's so wonderful to know that you're watching in today, and I'm super excited for you guys that are watching in right now. I just want to take some few moments to, wait for some few people to come through so that we can get started. Um, I'm Ryan, and yes, I'm just here to, break down a couple of things, few things that can help us enhance our lives. Today, I'm super excited about the fact that me and you is watching this one. We're all both still alive. This is not a common thing because there's so many people that are bedridden. There's so many people that cannot even catch their breath. There's so many people that are on oxygen, and there is no special thing that you are still alive and everything is still working out pretty well for you. So I just want to welcome each and every one of you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Just hit that button and share the video to a couple of friends, relatives, mates, and whoever you're watching from. I don't know where you're watching from, but this is so so great that you guys are taking time off to watch. Today, we are still embarking on the same thing. We are talking about mental slavery, and we are looking at it in different dimensions. See how we can make things work out pretty well. Yes, and it is really good for me because at least I can get time to talk to you. I can get time to uh, share with you what I think is so relevant, what I think can impact your life, what I think can organize your future. And this is all the information that you need because knowledge is very expensive. There is nothing on Earth planet that has ever happened without being mastermind or without first coming through as an idea. Everything starts as an idea before it is practically done. So we need to observe this and we need to make use of our brains. That is the most important thing. We need to make use of our brains. That's that's why I always say that Rome was not built in one day. It started as an idea, and an idea came into place, and things were done, and all that stuff that you hear of. It was just one bit of an idea after an idea, idea after an idea, and that's how it is. And previously, we talked about mental slavery, and it's the same thing that we still are tackling even up to today. And we're just trying to get more deeper in details, trying to know how it really affects us and how we can best cut this down and how can we fight it and what are some of the causes and what are the types of mental slavery, all these things, and how can we fight this. These are all the things that we are looking at. The reason as to why I'm trying to show it, at length is because some of us we do not realize that actually we are are being affected by a type of mental slavery, any type, because previously we also talked about the types of mental slavery. I'll briefly try to give you a flashback before we can proceed, and I was just trying to break it down as I'm waiting for a few guys to come through on today's broadcast. This is so important to know that you definitely get some time out and watch this one. To all of you guys that are watching from Africa, you're watching from Asia, you're watching from Europe, you're watching from America, it's super, super exciting to know that you are, taking your time off to, do this. We are doing it, and I'm always here to, encourage you, to inspire you, to motivate you, to share ideas with you guys because there's so many people get time off to think, use their brains, and there is no way you can ever succeed in life if you do not put Not so many people do this, and that's why we've been affected. That's why we have malicious people, we have greedy people, we have corrupt people, because we are engulfed by this kind of mentality that you know we need to prove other people. That is the kind of the thing that has eaten up our minds, and it's not only happening in Africa, but it's happening all over the world. It's happening in America and everywhere. You know, if we come to a realization that it's only going to impede us to reach our full potential, then we could definitely have saved ourselves from a lot of trouble. Yes. Today, I'm just also honored to be with you and to be speaking to you. I'm Ryan, and I just can't take it lightly. Previously, we talked about mental slavery. I was trying to briefly give you definition, a definition of this terminology, which I thought I was trying to break it down in a layman's understanding, and I thought probably you got me pretty well. Mental slavery comes from two words, mental and slavery. Mental deals with your psychology, your brains, your thinking, your way of seeing things, your analytical point of view. That's where it comes from. Then slavery, it comes from being held back, being encapsulated, being in captivity. Um, this can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional, it can be spiritual, it can be whatever kind of aspect in life. You can be enslaved in any kind of aspect of life. So, um, slavery is quite diverse. And most of you guys, when we talk about slavery, you draw it back, especially in Africa. They always take it back to the days of the physical slavery. But then we have far gone away from that, but we're still captivated by this slavery that is not physically seen, but it's mentally eating up. It's like a virus. It's eating up our brains. That even after we've been set free, but we still have this, mental slavery that is eating up everyone's mind, and that is what we want to fight. Because if we are free mentally, then everything will be absolutely working out as it's supposed to be working. But if we are not free mentally, even if we get all the freedom in the world, trust me, our mentality will be still held up or hooked up by by a particular kind of mentality, and that will impede us to reach to our potential. So this is why we want to talk about this and expound it and expound more about it, because there is no way you can solve a problem that you don't know. So we need to look at the problem, magnify it. Yes, yes, we need to first expound on it, expound on it, and then afterwards we can look out for remedies when we know exactly what we're tackling. I'm so super excited, and without any due, let me start off with where we stopped last time. Last time we looked at types of mental slavery. Um, we looked at, so let me just briefly run through the types of mental slavery that we looked at. Mental slavery, we looked at low self esteem, and I was trying to explain to you. If you missed out, you can definitely just check out on my previous video. You'll be able to get to know exactly what we talked about when we talked about mental slavery. We talked about low self-esteem as number one. Number two, we talked about fear. Yeah, this is all mental slavery, being captivated, encapsulated in the brains. We also talked about hatred and adversity. We talked about hopelessness and disbelief. We talked about pride and arrogancy. We talked about vengeance and forgiveness. We talked about pretense and masquerading. We talked about money. Yeah, no, money also had to come through, because some of you guys are gonna ask me how is mental slavery got to do with money, and I try to break it down for you, try to explain it to you how it came through, how this can also be a mental slavery in its entirety, and we're trying to expound on it and blah 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 blah. So I believe if you missed out on that live or that information, you can still just check out on my page and watch the previous video. You'll be able to get or relate with me or connect with me on where we are right today. We're still on the same, topic. We're still discussing about mental slavery, and today I want us to look at the causes of mental slavery. There are not so many causes of mental slavery. However, the most major ones, like around 4 or 5, and we're going to be trying to briefly expound on them. Not briefly, not so much briefly, but at least we'll try to go deeper and try to understand each and every one of them, what it means and what brings it about, and blah 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 blah. We'll try to expound more about it as we keep on going. If you're watching in for the very first time, you're so welcome. This is a platform where we share, where I give you, where I try to elevate you on the things that I think that are so important in life. I am not here to try to, showcase something or no, but I'm here to try to elevate your brains, make your mind switched in a way, that you think in a different way. You see things in a different dimension because it's very easy for both of you to observe the same thing and come up with different results. That's why when you are in high institutions of learning, you're told to go and do a coursework on a particular thing, and you'll end up coming up with different results. But you do it on a particular area or a particular thing or a particular scope, but you'll come up with different, results because we all have different observation of things. So it is really paramount that you also consider this. Right now, I definitely want to get into, the causes of mental slavery. It's what we are expounding on today. And first and foremost, the causes is what brings it. Yeah, for you guys that are pretty, don't grasp it. But what brings this? What brings mental slavery to our society, to our community, to our family, and all, just to name it? Anyway, the first and foremost, which is the root cause of everything to do with mental slavery, as I gave you all the examples. The first thing is family and communities. We both know that anybody in this world has no family. We all have where we belong. We all have where we come from. We all have where we're nurtured from. Even if you are nurtured by animals, that's your family. That's where you come from. That's why you will end up behaving in a particular way. You behave in a particular way. You see things in a particular way, in a particular dimension, because that's what your family has given you. That's how your family has nurtured you or has molded you. So the family is the smallest unit in a community. So there is no family that is not in a community. There is a community, and a community is a setup of things. Now, there is a particular way of doing things in a particular area, a particular area, physical area or geographical area. There is a way they do things, and you'll end up seeing that all the families within that community, they behave in a particular way. That's how it is. So families make up a community. Rather, it's not a community that makes up a family. That's why you start with the family, which is the smallest unit, and you graduate to a community, and you also go through a society. When we talk about nations, you talk about continents, you talk about ethnicities, you talk about races and blah blah blah, just to name. I'm trying to give you a broad picture of this. But anyway, just to expound on this, families have been so instrumental when it comes to causing mental slavery, because there are some families that have they have the extreme way of handling things. For example, in our culture, it is paramount for a female to greet elders while she is kneeling down, in our culture. But it's not everywhere. So in our family or in our community, if this is not seen, if a female or a female, person, you do not kneel down when you are greeting or addressing an elder. You're looked at as uncultured. You're looked at as indisciplined. That is the kind of slavery that has been, into, they determine someone is disciplined according to their actions. People can pretend, people can masquerade. It is very easy for somebody to kneel down, but that just says his heart is not kneeling down. So people are so much excited, on actually praising the things that they can see physically, but they forget that the brilliancy of somebody, the personality of somebody comes from within, not from out inside, but from inside out. So they always forget this. And it's what we want to, kind of, enhance. We also want to kind of change the way the people look at things because they have been so much eaten up by this kind of thing. There is a particular rigidity that is attached to this that we need to break right now. So I find it so important and so paramount that families should check the way they nurture kids. Because if a family is fixed, then automatically the whole community is going to be fixed, and eventually that nation will be fixed as well, because it all starts from the family where we all come from. They always say that an apple, it does not fall far away from the tree, from the apple tree. That's what they say. So it's very hard for somebody that grew up in a family that is indisciplined to be disciplined. It's very hard. It's a rare case. So you can always relate. You can relate. So we really need to cross check before we can even blame anybody. Before we can blame the government, we can blame the social media. Before we can blame the media, before we can blame any kind of institution, let us blame the families, because that's the root cause of everything. That's the center point of everything. You can definitely be the mastermind of this. You as parents, you determine what your kids are going to watch. You determine how your family is going to behave like. I remember scripture where Joshua, one of the books in the Bible, I think it's the sixth, yeah, if I'm not forgetting, it's the sixth book in the Bible, the Old Testament, where Joshua was trying to, relate with the children of Israel and asking them which kind of God they were going to serve, because by that time they were entangling themselves into serving other gods, gods of the Amorites. And then he reached a time when he had to, make a verdict. He was forcing them to make a decision of who they were going to serve. But then for him, it was like, as for him, he made his own personal decision that as for me and my household. So you have to determine that as for you and your entire household, how are you going to see things? How are you going to handle things? It's not necessarily that you got to do things the particular way that other things are doing it. You can start up something. Change can always start with you. You can be an initiator of that big change in life. So you do not have to wait for anybody to start up something good. So for him, in determining his own, opinion that he was gonna serve God no matter what, for him and his entire household. So all everybody, that means including his servants, including his handmaids, including his children, wives, everybody that was under his household, everybody that was under his roof, they were all going to serve the living God. So you need to come to a point when you have to decide. No matter what shakes you, you're gonna stand strong and observe a particular kind of behavior or a particular kind of discipline. It has to start with you. It's not necessarily that you have to follow that kind of rigidity where everybody does things in a particular kind of way. No, it's not that way. So you reach a time when it's you against the world. So that's what it means to change. Sometimes it's gonna be hard. Sometimes it's not gonna be in line with what everybody thinks of you. But you got to take that step and just move on. Just move on. This is what I'm trying to let you know here. So we need to observe families, and because it's families that make up communities, and it's communities that make up nations. That's why you see many countries, are built up by different communities, but different communities have different beliefs because there's a setup in that particular geographical area. So we need to look at our families. We need to definitely observe how families do definitely behave. Because if we ain't looking at this, then automatically it's gonna be hard for us to calm down this, problem of mental slavery. And if you cannot calm down, if you cannot change the way you think, then you cannot change anything out of you. Because if you can't take care of yourself, or if you can't take care of your mental problems, then how can you handle somebody's problems? That's what I'm trying to let you know here. So we need to definitely observe this. Once Franklin Roosevelt, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the presidents of United States of America. He said that the most dangerous thing in this world, it's not weapon of mass destruction, it's not poison, it's not anything else, it's not lies, it's not fear, but it's a man who has nothing to lose. Those people that have made it to themselves that they have nothing to lose. Those are the people that don't respect humanity. Those are the people that don't respect other people. They don't respect, cultures. They don't respect anything. They are definitely uncultured, indisciplined, and whatsoever. You can name it. They are fearless. Yes, they're fearless in the wrong way. So they don't have anything to lose. So they will end up doing anything in this world. So you always have to fix your mind. Fix your minds first before you can look out for fixing, other person's brains. They always try to fight, to exact something on people. They want to exact something on people, but they forget that you can still make people love what you want, even without forcing them to love it. Just do what you have to do. Make people love what you do, and definitely they will embrace it. You don't have to force anybody. That's the reason. That's why I love so much about the Bible preachings. And most of the times when I'm trying to do my events, I always try to relate them to the biblical truth, because it expounds a lot on life, exactly how we have to live life. It shows you that God has given us this kind of free will, but we should not abuse it. Rather, we should use it appropriately. Though people have used it inappropriately, and that's why we see a lot of problems that are happening in the world. You hear of wars, you hear of insurgencies, you hear of a couple of things, just to name but a few. So it's what I'm trying to show you here. Anyway, I know we can always talk and talk and talk about one particular area, and we will not, finish it because it's quite broad. The other thing I'm going to talk about is that still looking at the causes of mental slavery. For you guys that are joining in right now, the other thing I'm going to talk about is lack of education, basic education and training. Well, most of the times when I talk about education, I don't necessarily mean going to classrooms, going and sitting in classes and so on. But no, education, I'm talking about basic education. That it has nothing to do with going at school. There is formal and there is informal education. So all this is education. So what I'm trying to show you here is that there are some families that do not take the initiative to educate their kids or their young members about a particular area of life, or how to look at things. So they end up, neglecting their responsibilities. So the young members of a family will follow a different dimension. You find a family where they observe, values of Christianity, but they do not take the initiative to teach the young members of the family on the values of Christianity. So the young members will definitely lack guidance, and they will end up choosing their own personal, directions. They will direct themselves, which is wrong, because you're an elder and you're supposed to set a trend, you set a pace on how the family is supposed to be ran. So if you don't, take care of this, automatically they will take care of themselves. Oh, somebody else will step in for you, and you don't trust this person. You don't know exactly what his motives and his, what drives them. So that's why we end up, finding that some people are, enslaved in a particular way. That they are in a particular way, they think in a particular way, because they lack the basic things in life, the basic education, the basic training. For example, everybody knows, it's all over, everybody knows that love is more than just a necessity, but it's a virtue of life. It's a virtue of life that you need to love. And love heals a couple of things. Not a couple of things, but everything. Love is a remedy, or it's an antidote to all problems across the world. So if you do not teach people how to love, and when I talk about love, it's quite a broad thing. It covers things like respect, things like forgiveness, things, because you cannot respect something that you do not love. You cannot forgive something that you do not love. It's quite enormous. It's big in its entirety. But I'm trying to show you here that if you teach people how to love, then automatically you're teaching them a lot of things. You are teaching them how to listen. You're teaching them how to respect. You're teaching them how to respond when it's needed. You're teaching them a lot of things here they're observing. So if you don't stand up and you take this initiative, then trust me, it's gonna be really hard. And love has no boundaries. That's why we preach love, 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 love all throughout. I ain't talking about the intimacy. I ain't talking about that intimate kind of love, but I'm talking about the love, this kind of general love, the agape kind of love that is being preached about in the Bible, when when God so loved the world and gave his only begotten son, and blah 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 blah, whosoever believes in will not perish but have life. That is the kind of love I'm talking about, that you are considerate, you and inconsiderate about you alone. You don't focus on yourself. The love that is free, that is not rigged. Yeah, you don't focus on yourself, but you look at the interest of other people, because you coexist with so many things in this world. That's why in real life we have rules or laws that governs animals. We have laws that governs the environment where we come from, the wildlife, and blah blah blah, the water bodies, and the mountains, and so many things. They all have law, because we have to coexist with these things. If we eradicate or encroach on these things, trust me, we are encroaching on ourselves. In real sense, we are encroaching on our lives, because we are meant to live along with these things. They have something to offer us. We also have something to offer back. That's the ecosystem I'm talking about here. We are supposed to coexist with these things. Without them, life is going to be really hard. That's why you see climatic changes, and calamities and catastrophes, and you hear of now the warm temperatures in different parts of the area, like in Canada. Now people are losing their lives, something that has never been known to be, coming from that side of the world, and so many other things. You see coldness in different parts of the world, and people are dying because of climatic changes and all that stuff. It is coming out of that particular thing. You know, it's because people have not been educated. People are cutting down trees enormously, and there is nobody to guide them. There is nobody to tell them, what you're doing is wrong. Or if you want to cut a tree, then you got to replace it with five other trees. Plant five other trees, then you can cut down this, big tree. At least you're not eradicating the forests. And if you're not eradicating the forest, automatically you're saving the climate, the weather, and the conditions and all that stuff. You're definitely saving it. But if you are not educated or trained about this, trust me, how are you gonna know this? And you will grow up, and the only thing you can do is to cut down a tree, but you don't know the ramifications of this. So this is what we want to look at. If we cannot, tackle the causes, then we inevitably cannot avoid, ramifications that will come out of this. So this is so important, that we need to train. We need to train. We need to educate them, give them the basic education. I ain't talking about the kind of education that is carried out in class alone, because it's very easy to find a fool who is educated, and it's very embarrassing to be a fool but you're very educated. It's really bad in life. So the kind of education I'm trying to talk about is something that is gonna, you know, uh, stimulate your common sense, stimulate your it's called in neuroscience. It's called I'm forgetting the terminology in neuroscience, where you have that kind of intelligence. So many people think that being educated is being intelligent. Nah, intelligence is different from education. So we need to, steer up this. The best way we can steer up personal intelligence is through education, the basic kind of education that we need to uphold our communities, to uphold our families. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about here. If we can work on this, and we try to train people, then definitely we'll be able to eradicate this or curb it down, this mental slavery, because it's one of the causes of mental slavery: lack of education, basic education and training. It's one of them. Um, it, of course, it's also enormous, but then I think let me just leave it at that, and let me proceed to the next our um, next reason or cause of mental slavery, and that is life experiences. Most of us, most of you guys that are watching, I don't know where you're watching from, we've all definitely been knocked down by so many issues, so many things, or so many situations, hurdles, and whatsoever in life. Things have knocked us down, and sometimes you feel like you're suicidal. Sometimes you feel like you want to give up on life, or sometimes you feel like people are lying. That's why you see people changing. They're getting to a particular thinking. There is a particular way they are taking things because they think that's how it works. But no, it's not that way. you know Life, what is life without hurdles? What is life without things that will impede you, obstructions and whatsoever, and challenges? What is life without that? Because the beauty of life comes from each and every challenge that you overcome. That is the beauty of life, because you stand a reason to celebrate. You can't celebrate on something that you have not uh, or, you know something that you have not been victorious about. It's something that you have been able to reign, or something that you've been able to overcome. That's when you can get victorious. So that is the beauty of our life. But though some people do not look at life experiences as something, in actual sense, they flip it the other way, and they end up becoming slaves to particular areas. I was listening to some neuroscientist, and he was explaining on how people have been held back because of their previous encounters and experiences, because it becomes a memory to them, and they get so much attached to their memories, and they forget that there is a life to live after that. So every time they keep going back, keep flashing back to their past memories, and they forget that there is a life after that. There is a life ahead of them that they have to plan for. So they end up being incarcerated in this kind of mentality because of the past experiences, because of the life experiences and whatsoever. So this has also been so instrumental when it comes to promoting or causing mental slavery. So how can we best, handle this, or go and how can we best handle this? We need to do it in a way that sometimes you need to move on. When I say move on, I'm not talking about physical moving on, but I'm talking about mental moving on. You need to leave, set aside the past, because there is nothing you're gonna do with your past. There is nothing you're gonna change about your past or the experiences. Nothing, absolutely. But you have this old opportunity that is quite in your face, where you can change what is ahead of you. You will never change what you have gone through, or the experiences that have occurred in your life, because in actual sense, you did not actually plan this. It was inevitable. It had to happen in your life. So you need to move on, and it all starts by mental progress. If you cannot progress mentally, then you cannot progress physically. That's why most of the people are held in poverty, absolute poverty, because of the way they think. You know, there is a law of nature that states that what you think is what you attract. So most of the times, if you're held in a particular, memory, You know, we find that there are some people that really enjoy the memories. They enjoy, the particular kind of pain they once went through because that's what they are familiar with, and they fear to try or to tap something that is new, something that is strange to them. So they always want to be comfortable with what they are familiar with. But even what you're familiar with, one time you were not familiar with it. So it all starts by you trying out. You make that first step. So this is also holding us back. The past experiences are holding us back, and we have become slaves to this, and we want to serve this, and it is now, becoming our masters. And there is nothing we can do about it. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you went through this, and it's quite devastating. I must confess. But then, man, you need to move on. The reason why I started by saying that this is the beauty of life is when you experience every challenge and you overcome it, you stand out victorious, is because that's how God has designed life. Ups and downs makes life beautiful. What is life which is on a straight line? Who would know the value of life if that everything was on plane, or everything was straight? Who would, really treasure life? Even through all the ups and downs, people are still killing people, people are still distrusting, and blah 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 blah. Then what about if it was all plain? So this is what I'm trying to show you here. That is the beauty of life. You need to embrace it. You need to take it. I must tell you that this is the truth that you will never get anywhere else. Life is going to be hard. Yes, at a certain point, life is going to be hard. But hey, to only those that don't give up, life can still turn out to be the best thing that has ever happened to you. I know there are so many people out there that traumatically don't believe in life, and they curse life. They even curse the day they were born, and they're feeling suicidal right now. But hey, that is life. And trust me, there is nothing permanent. Even good situations, sometimes they ain't permanent. There is a time when you're going to be feeling deep down low. There is a time when you're going to be feeling depressed. Those things will come. Moments like that will come. So there is no permanent situation, good and bad. It ain't gonna be. It ain't gonna last forever. But what you do can either stimulate it or can curb it down, can shatter it. So you need to choose on how to look at life. Past experiences have actually held us back, and we've become slaves to this. We've been enslaved to this, and it's really absurd. It's so absurd, but then I must say it. I must say it. We need to rise beyond this, beyond the way we think, beyond our past experiences, because they only draw us back. We'll never get past that. So if you want to be something in life, you need to start by reforming, mentally reforming. Then last but not least is cultural and cultural beliefs. Culture and beliefs. Yeah, let me just put it that way. Culture and beliefs. You know, especially let me start with beliefs. Beliefs. Yeah, for example, we have religious beliefs that actually states that if you believe in that, you believe in a faith, killing somebody who does not share the same beliefs with you, it's doing their God good. It's actually taking them to paradise. So I don't know what kind of belief is that, but then it's somewhere in the extremists. They have this, the extremists, the Islamic extremists. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying that Islam is about faith. No, but I'm saying that those that are called the extremists, they think that whenever you kill a non-believer, you're doing their God good. So I'm just wondering, in my own understanding, which kind of God that would advocate for this. This is actually tarnishing, or it's kind of tainting um, other people who are not believing in this. So we need to look at the way what we believe in is telling us. If it is not about saving humanity, then sometimes we need to cross check, we need to cross examine this. Especially cultures. Now, there are some cultures that are, advocating for female circumcision. So, what exactly are you circumcising here? You know, this is what I'm trying to show you. But then people are rigged to this, and if you ain't doing this, then you're not considered to be a woman. Other people are believing in so many things. Some people they do child trafficking, sacrificing. They sacrifice children, and all these beliefs. Some barbaric, thinkings. I'll call them barbaric because I don't know what in the world would make you think like this. Some people believe that you need to sacrifice your firstborn. I know all these things. So it is kind of holding us back. If you grew up being told this, it's gonna be so hard for you to kind of relate with the modern society because you will think that maybe that is kind of taking away the culture. You know, trying to pull out some few things that are not improper or it does not mean that you're eradicating the culture. Culture sometimes has to be revived. Revised, because everything has to be revised in a way. There is nothing that comes as perfect as it is in its entirety. That's why God has people around them. I know the story when God was determined to burn the two cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, and He was telling Abraham, you know what, I'm going to burn down those two cities. So if there is anybody that you know there, you just have to go and tell them to leave those two cities because I'm going to burn them down because of their iniquities. But then Abraham went into a debate with this no with God and was like, no, let's cut a deal. What if you find there are some 50 people that are righteous? Then God was like, if there are 50, then I'm gonna save the two cities. What do you say? Then Abraham was like, okay, maybe 50 are not. Let me. What if there are 40? What if there are 30? And now the negotiations went on until the last, when 10 people could not come out of the two cities that were righteous. So Abraham only had to go and pick up his cousin who was Lot, and the two cities were burned down. So even God sometimes goes in a debate. So there is nobody in this world that is a custodian of wisdom. Absolutely nobody. Even God can leave that space of you coming to Him, and then you negotiate a deal with Him with all His sovereignty. He's supreme, He's sovereign, He's beyond humanity, He's everlasting, he's everything. But then if at all He can leave that room for you guys to calm down, and you talk things out, then what about you, a human being? So anybody is a custodian of wisdom. That's what I'm trying to show you here. So that's why we need also to revise our cultures. Not everything as it is started is supposed to remain like that. And I'm not trying to go against culture. I'm one of the people that strongly advocate for culture and beliefs. Because if you don't have something to stand on, you don't have something to fall back on, then what are you? What kind of a creature are you? You need something to fall back on. And most of the times it's your culture and your belief. When everything is seemingly not making sense, there is something that you will always relate to or you fall back onto to resonate with. So this is what I'm trying to show you here. We need to revise or reform in particular areas of life, especially in our cultures and our beliefs, because this has kind of enslaved so many people, and they are held to a particular, they are so rigged to a particular way of thinking which does not apply in a modern society. And then the other side, you should also start confusing modernity and culture. Absolutely, modernity has nothing to do with culture. It doesn't mean that if you're modern you got to do away with your culture. No, because uncultured people are not entertained. Nobody can entertain somebody who has no culture. You do not have anywhere where you belong. The reason as to why I'm giving an example. The reason as to why Black Americans are so, are living in suspense up to today, because they don't have a culture they belong to. They don't belong to the African culture. Neither do they belong to the Caucasian culture. So they're just in suspects. So it's so important that you need to have a culture where you belong to. So these guys, yes, we share the same color scheme with them, but they cannot kind of resonate. They cannot relate to our cultures because that has go. This is a new generation. The people that were taken in slavery by that time, they have all died. Those were their great grand parents. They have all died. So the new generation that we have today, they cannot relate to African cultures. Now, neither can they relate to the Caucasian culture. So they're just in suspects. That's why most of them are called uncultured. And you don't know how it feels. Most of the times, you guys try to confuse modernity and culture, but these are totally two different things. And this is what I'm trying to show you here. So don't confuse. It doesn't mean that if you cultured, you automatically become you're losing out that sense of modernity in you, that style and plot and the elegancy. No, these all things can come with the culture. You can still be elegant with the culture. You can still be stylish, you know, and beliefs. It doesn't mean that we should observe things the way they are supposed to be. That's why in my faith we have what they call the free will. Even God, as much as He loves you so much, as much as He wants you to be His child and to accept Him and to give Him the full responsibility over your life, He's not going to force Himself on you. He wants you to comply. He wants you to submissively give in. You yourself. He does not force Himself on you because He knows the expense of forcing. You'll have to blame Him for everything that happens in your life. So He gives you that space where you have to make a personal decision. No wonder why they say that you believe with your heart and you confess with your mouth. Anybody is going to make a decision for you in this kind of an area. Not even your pastor, not even your mom, not even your parents will ever make for your decision in this area. So if you're confessing Christianity and you're still believing in this whole thing that, my mom was a Christian and my dad was a Christian, so I'm definitely a Christian. You're wrong. You're wrong, absolutely wrong, because it comes from your heart. That's why in our faith you cannot baptize somebody who is not of a certain age, because there is that time when you need to make a choice, when you need to make a personal decision. So this is so important in life. That's how even belief should be like. You need to give space for people to think. Let people think out of the box. Let people think and make a decision for themselves. And you see if they really still comply, if they still, hold on to the values of that faith, hold on to the value of that belief. Give them the space, give them the opportunity. Stop that rigidity. Stop that, it's kind of religious terrorism. I would call it that way. To me, that's how I look at it. When you need to force somebody to believe in a particular thing, it should not be like that. Belief is something that was given to us as personal, as a practice that we can do freely. It's a practice that everybody can carry out freely. Believing, you're free to believe in whatever you have to believe in. Not even God tells you that you should. It's a must. You have to believe in it. It's a choice. It's not a must. So your faith should not push you to the limit and steal away the freedom that you have to practice or that you have to portray. That's not a faith. So anyway, I was just trying to expound on that, trying to show you culture and belief, how they have become a stumbling block when it comes to mental freedom. When it comes to mental freedom, how it has become a stumbling block. I always have a lot of things to talk about when it comes to this. A lot of things that definitely I would talk about, but then, due to the time, sometimes I'm finding myself that I have to, leave it at a particular time. I cannot have all the time in the world to talk about everything, but at least there is always something I want to show you here, just to trigger off, to spark up that think. I mean that way of thinking, that way of thinking. You think out of the box. I always want to trigger off something in you so that you can see things in a different dimension. You can start being observant, because life, when you're not observant, becomes a menace. You definitely turn out to be a follower of other people. That's why you see that there is this law of life. There is this law of life where the 20, oh no, the 10% are controlling the 90%. But it's a choice that you have to make. Are you going to be among the 90% or are you going to be among the 10%? You know, the world has been preaching democracy, but democracy is not anywhere in this world. There is not democracy anywhere. Not anywhere. It's not like I'm trying to advocate for dictatorship or autocracy or whatsoever kind of or bureaucracy. It's not that. I'm just trying to show you the reality here. There is nothing like democracy in this world. It's majority being dominated by minority. But democracy will always tell us it's the vice versa where the majority are. But who tells you that? Do you have many presidents? No, absolutely no. You only have one president. So that means it's one dominating the entire nation. So it's always the majority that dominate them that are dominated by the minority. That's what I'm trying to show you. So you need to make a choice, but it all comes by the way you decide to think, or if you are ready to reform and change the way you think or the way you look at things. It's a choice. It's not a mandate for everybody. It's just a choice. Anyway, those are some of the causes that we're definitely going to be talking about right about now. Some of the causes I talked about. Families and communities. We need to be very observant when it comes to that. I also talked about lack of basic education and training. It's also important. Then I also talked about life experiences, and then I talked about culture and beliefs. This is also paramount. Those are the four major, the four most outstanding causes of mental slavery. We are looking at mental slavery, and then we are trying to see how we can best cut this down. How can we be able to attain our freedom, our mental freedom? Because it all starts with our mentality. It all starts with our brains. It all starts with the way we think. That's why there is neuroscience was introduced. With uh, it deals basically with the way we think. Quantum physics also relates with relating our way we think with energy, with natural energy. Those also go hand in hand. Quantum physics deals with the way you think, now relating it to the surroundings, to the energy, the natural energy that is within your vicinity or within where you live. So this is what we're trying to show you here. So I think I can leave it at this. I may not have enough time to go beyond this, but it's always a pleasure always to talk about things that can help us enhance our lives. Tomorrow, if I happen to get a chance, definitely I'll be talking about the ramifications. If you do not cap down the causes, or if you do not observe or reform to these, then the ramifications or the repercussions or the shortcomings or the things that are bound to come out of this, the problems that you're bound to face, with this kind of mental slavery. Because the types of mental slavery, so which is fear, hatred, animosity, hopelessness, pride, arrogancy, vengeance and unforgiveness, pretense and masquerade, money and blah blah blah. These are the types of mental slavery. But then, if you do not work on this, if you do not reform, or if you do not tackle them or try to reform, what are some of the things that are bound to happen, the ramifications or the repercussions, the aftermath of this? That's what we're going to be looking at the next time I come through. We'll be sharing that as well because we want to see. If you know the problems, then you can know exactly where to start off from. I'm so happy that I was able to talk to you, and whoever is going to watch this later on, make sure that you share it with the rest of the guys, and let's see how we can make life better and better for us and for the generations to come after we're gone. Because what we're doing today is not only for us, but we're doing it for other people. Remember, that change that you want to see in this world only starts within you. The whole thing that you want to be in life or that you are created to you is trapped within you. Your future is trapped within you. It's not out of the world. Though you need people to help you reach to it, people that can contribute in different ways, that will add up to this or spice it up. But then it all starts with you. It's you to spark up that inside of you, and it's within you. So be the change that you want to see, and always strive to be something. And it's not in a guarantee that we all gonna reach the holy grail, or we all gonna reach the promised land. It's not a guarantee, but at least if you start it up today, at least your kid will reach the promised land, just like the children of Israel when they left slavery, going to the promised land. They did not all reach the promised land. Actually, two of the people that left the promised land, two of them that reached the promised land. It's only Joshua and Caleb that reached the promised land. The rest of the generation, they were cut short in the wilderness, in the desert. They all fade out, and the new generation reached the promised land. But if they did not even the new generation would have reached the promised land. So you do not have to be selfish, and you are so egocentric. You're thinking about your own self. Think about your children and your great grandchildren tomorrow after you're gone. Because if you don't reach the promised land, at least your children or your great grandchildren will reach. But you have to spearhead the change. You spearhead the change. You trigger off a change. Starts with you. Because everything has its starting point and be a foundation of what you want to see tomorrow. Great. That's what I'm trying to show you here. Anyway, I'm so blessed to be talking to you, and may God richly bless you. Catch you sometime, probably tomorrow if there is a chance, and God bless you all.